मेरी स्टोरी है कि मैं मतलब नालंदा जिले के एक छोटे से गांव जिसका नाम छबीलापुर है, राजगीर के पास में। राजगीर मगध की पहली राजधानी हुआ करती थी। वहीं से गांव में ही स्कूल से पढ़ाई की है 10वीं तक। Well, it was my father who always inspired me to think big. 2005 में जो है, पहले मेरा जो पहला असाइनमेंट था वो मॉस्को में था, रूस में। फिर मैं मेडागास्कर जो है वहाँ मेडागास्कर आ गया राजदूत बनकर। I was one of India's youngest ambassadors. Rupa and Sunyata, they come from Heart Sutra or Hriday Sutra, which was which was given by Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. आपने काम सूत्र का नाम सुना होगा। काम सूत्र तो बिहार से ही आता है, पटना से आता है वो। द फोकस ऑन एनी मेडिटेशन इज ऑन प्राणा, ऑन ब्रीदिंग. So most of us don't know how to breathe. I think thinking big is that always trying to or striving towards something greater than you can do. जब मैं पहुंचा किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज में, तो वो पहली बार मुझे इंग्लिश मीडियम में पढ़ना पड़ा। मैंने अखबार पढ़ करके, डिक्शनरी देख कर करके शब्द सीखे और इंग्लिश भी सीखा. We might be gone tomorrow, or but the story remains. And that's why I chose to become a writer.
Hey everyone, welcome to the PVT show where we have conversations that truly energize one's mind. I'm very excited about introducing you all to my next awesome guest on this show today. He is a fascinating figure, a renowned poet, diplomat, author, painter, and an editor. Man of several creative facets in one. Can you imagine? He has served in diplomatic roles across the globe for India, including Madagascar and Brazil, and currently holds the very coveted position of Deputy Director General at the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. Well, his literary work has garnered significant recognition across the globe, earning him the very coveted SAARC Literature Award in 2013 for his immense contributions to South Asian poetry work. Blending diplomacy with poetry, meet our amazing guest, amazing poet Abhay K, who carries forward a rich tradition of poet diplomats much like Pablo Neruda and Octavio Paz. You all must know about them. His writing often explores themes of culture, history, and human connection, making him a truly multidimensional human being. Well, today we discuss the journey of this young boy, Abhay K, from a very small village in Bihar to the Silicon Valley. His father once said, "Dream big," and he did. Let's meet the amazing Abhay K. Welcome, Abhay ji. Welcome to the PVT show where we have conversations that truly energize your mind. I am so grateful that you could find time.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be your guest today on your podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I am fascinated by something that you asked me to read, and I feel that why was I so unfortunate to not get this gold mine of literature when it was published? It actually एक थोड़ा सा रंजिश है दिल में कि ये मुझे 17 साल के बाद क्यों मिली. I think this book, River Valley, from River Valley to Silicon Valley, your beautiful book, your first book, Story of Three Generations of an Indian Family, is something that I would recommend every person who wants to make something out of their life to read. Because there is no dearth of inspiration, but there is dearth of inspiration with action. So
True.
here, you have explained beautifully how it happened for you, how from river to silicon happened for you, what were your challenges, and everything. So, before we start, may I please request you to tell the audiences the latest exhibition that you did? I loved the name. If you could, please.
Well, I mean, I've just done an exhibition of paintings, which is titled Sunyata or Emptiness. And I've done this exhibition after a gap of almost a decade and a half. My last major personal exhibition was in 2011. So almost 13 years. I did two exhibitions in the middle in Brazil and in Madagascar, but this one is very special because I have painted new works for this one. And these paintings are based on this concept, Buddhist concept of sunyata, which means that the essence of uh, our universe or the visible world, or uh, you know uh, the entities which cause attachment,
Right.
which is the major cause of suffering, they are all empty, and they don't have substance in themselves. They don't have independent existence. Uh, One of the major Buddhist philosophies is called dependent origination,
Right.
or pratitya samutpat in and it means that originated together or originated dependently. And the best example I'll give you, uh, the day exists because night exists.
Correct.
If there is no day, there is no night.
True.
So that's why everything in themselves, either the day or the night in themselves, they are empty. They are so that's the theory of emptiness. And emptiness then brings also the concept of impermanence or transience, that everything is changing. That's the true reality of nature. But what the humans want, we want everything to be permanent.
Yeah.
If we have success, we want it to be permanent. If we have some position in society or in this world, we want it to be permanent. We want to live permanently. Ask anyone, do they want to die? They don't.
No.
They want life to be permanent, but that's
Right.
not what how the nature is made. So if we can understand this concept of emptiness and impermanence, I think we will suffer less, because we will know what is really important in this world. And that's why understanding impermanence makes us more present in now, this
Right.
moment. Live this moment. That's all we have.
How beautifully you have explained
And
this.
this exhibition
Yeah.
was hosted at the French Indo-French Cultural Center, or Alliance Française, in Delhi, and it has just ended, and it's going to be held in Bihar at Bihar Museum in Patna from 1st to 10th of October. This is a major, uh, matter of satisfaction for me, because I had been focusing mostly on my writing and books in past decade, and I am so glad that I have come back to art. I have taken it up again.
And we can't wait for this to happen in Mumbai.
I would be delighted if Suneta goes to Mumbai someday. It's going to Patna anyway
Right.
next month.
So now that you said Patna, but congratulations. I think, I've been to so many art exhibitions, and art in itself is very, very meditative because you're looking at something that has deeper meaning and layers that with your own lens you have to decode. And that's the beauty of art.
Thank
But I was fascinated because when you showed me everything, what was happening in Delhi, I could not attend, but whatever I saw, I think I missed it because. Um, to have a thought process of bringing Shunata and this concept live through art is in itself very, very interesting. So,
Yes, I mean, Sunita has been expressed philosophically, but I don't think it has been uh, visualized through
yes,
paintings. And I
yes,
think it's first of a kind experiment to visualize Sunyata and form. This Sunyata and form, like Rupa, form is Roop,
yeah,
and Rupa and Sunyata, they come from Heart Sutra or Hriday Sutra, which was given by Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara to Sariputra uh, on Gridhkut Parvat in Rajgir. और जो है वो दुनिया में जहां भी महायान बुद्धिज्म फॉलो होता है,
Hmm.
वहां पर जो है सभी हार्ट सूत्रा को जानते हैं, क्योंकि हार्ट सूत्रा जो है एसेंस है, जो प्रज्ञा पारामिता, बुद्धिस्ट महायाना बुद्धिज्म में जो प्रज्ञा पारामिता टेक्स्ट हैं,
Right.
द परफेक्शन ऑफ विजडम, तो उसका सार है हार्ट। हृदय का मतलब ही है कि इट्स द हृदय ऑफ प्रज्ञा पारामिता। और उसमें जो है अवलोकितेश्वरा सरिपुत्रा, जो सरिपुत्रा बुद्ध के जो मुख्य शिष्य थे, उनको वो बताते हैं, ये रहस्य बताते हैं कि
Hmm.
सरिपुत्र, जो शून्यता है और जो रूप है, दोनों एक ही हैं। शून्यता रूप है, रूप शून्यता है।
Hmm.
और what I try to visualize through my paintings is a continuous transformation of emptiness into form and
Right.
form into emptiness.
That's beautiful interpretation of a very, it's sometimes it is very difficult, especially for the younger generation, to understand the essence of these very the scriptures. Interpretations could be different, but I think this is very easy for from the art form to also assimilate that essence of a scripture,
Right,
essence of something which is so beautiful, Vedic, and
right.
can, as you said, explain you the meaning of how change and shunyata becomes a part of the beauty of life.
Mhm,
So, Abhijit, now that you're sitting with me, I am not going to leave this opportunity.
mhm,
I think we are you yourself being a diplomat, you're doing so much of your work is going in the direction of, and when you got into the Indian Forest Services, I think one thing that you also mentioned when you were interviewed
mhm,
is that I want to bring in that change and a sense of change even in our country in my own means and in my own capacity that I can. And that's why you wanted to, you know.
right.
My first and very simple question to you is your driving force from coming
Mhm,
from a very small place, which I will come on to
right.
from where you come. You're a gem who
Mhm,
just, happened to be coming from one sprouted from one very small village in India and then
right.
went up to Silicon Valley. What drove you? The first need of earning money
Mhm,
or the need of achieving something for fulfillment? How
mhm,
did you start thinking so big?
mhm. Well, it was my father who always inspired me to think big, and he always made this difference between thinking big and thinking small. So and I had teachers who helped me to think big. So since childhood, my father used to tell all these like inspiring stories that you can do this, you can do that, and he never thought small. So probably I think it comes from him, and I followed. He was so good that he said, when we had holidays, so he used to tell us, like me and my elder brother, that everybody is taking holidays, so this is the
Mhm.
time you should be doing more, or
Yes.
work, do something extra, then only you can have an edge, otherwise you would be the same. And another remarkable thing he said, that I mean, if there was a situation we faced, so he would say that anybody can respond like that. What makes you different than others? How an educated person could respond differently. So if you respond like in the same way as others do, then what's the difference between you and those who are illiterate?
Correct.
So he was, I think, he taught us these like basics of life, and I think it was greater than any subjects, uh,
Any education.
yeah, learned in the
Could you
school or college.
decode? Could you decode for our audiences thinking big and thinking small?
Mhm.
What would be the difference?
I think thinking big is that always trying to or striving towards something greater than you can do. Like for example, people are. I also paint, and when I became, for example, I got through foreign service in 2020. Sorry, in 2003, and I was 23 then. and then I wanted to. I mean, it seemed very easy to me. Like, it was like happened just
Hmm.
very easily. And then I thought that I'll challenge myself, and I started thinking big. And I thought I one day I read a book called The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, and I was very impressed by the book length, that is just 100 pages.
Yeah.
So I thought, why can't I write a book like that, and the book I wrote is in your hand, and I thought that nothing better than telling my own story, which can inspire many, generations to come. And so I challenged myself. I
Yeah.
had other colleagues as well in the foreign service. They did not write a book. They also must be having inspiring stories to tell. But I learned from Chinua Achebe, the great African writer from Nigeria, that it's the storyteller,
Yeah.
it's whose story survives.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
so he gives a very good example. One day there was this small tortoise walking, and there was a lion coming, and lion said that, tortoise, I want to eat you.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, tortoise said, you are mighty and powerful, so you can do whatever you like. But I have a last request. I mean, before you eat me, that can we have a fight, like, before you eat me, so that
Okay.
when you eat me, there are scratch marks, and there are like evidence that we had a fight. And uh, uh, and so I would be remembered as a brave tortoise who fought before being eaten. So it's the story that survives.
Yes.
What we remember from old days are the stories. So that's why I realized that it's not uh, in our era as well, whatever times we are living in. A poem or a painting, a work of art, a book, might have a chance to outlive us.
Yes.
We might be gone
For
tomorrow,
sure. For
or
sure.
but the story remains. And that's why I chose to become a writer. I challenged myself, and I thought, I'll write.
How beautifully put by you. And as you
That's
rightly
thinking
said,
big.
that's thinking big. And
That's
and
I had never thought, for example, that I would someday I would become a diplomat, for example,
right.
or I would become a writer, or I would become an artist. It was all like impossible when I was growing up.
Right.
I had no idea about any of these things.
This speaks louder about one becoming a part of the circumstances one is put into. We can't
Right.
really control our circumstances, and how do you make the most out of those circumstances? This is
Right.
also a little bit of positively contrary to manifestation. So I have been talking to, in my earlier podcast also, there was somebody, an author, who said that manifestation to me is nothing but daydreaming.
Mhm.
Ultimately you have to put in the hard work to achieve what you want.
Mhm. True.
And what you are also saying is that you never thought of becoming diplomat, but then you put in constant hard work, as
Mhm.
your father said. I think I'm trying to decode it
Mhm.
in a simpler way, that okay, if everybody is holidaying, you work hard and you
Mhm.
make something out of it, right? That's what you're saying. So
True.
let's
Yeah.
decode, what is thinking small?
Thinking small is like being in your comfort zone, like never
Mm-hmm.
challenging yourself, being satisfied with what you've got. And, you know, I mean, that's also a way of life,
Yeah.
like, you know, uh, but I mean, also, like, thinking small is like when you talk about other people, you gossip, you sort of, mostly busy with what others are doing. I
Yeah.
never do that. I'm like, I'm not really worried about what others are doing or others are talking about me. I'm mostly interested in how I can better myself.
Right.
So, uh, so that's and being focused. I think thinking small is like, looking at getting into unnecessary things, like, which
Hmm.
are most of the people do, like whether it is food, or I mean, drinks. Like, I mean, there's a quote, that uh, you know good I mean diplomats, normal diplomats, they take to drinking, and so if you don't have something, a passion, a hobby, it's you always tend to kind of fall into the
Yes.
smaller habits which cause lots of problems.
True.
So
Very well said. Now, I think the time has come. We must jump into this book, which is one of my favorite reads for sure, because for everyone, this is River Valley to Silicon Valley, story of Abhay K, along with the three generations. Abhay ji, why don't you give this story out to us? Because now you're going to Patna, और आपके बहुत fans वहाँ पर हैं. You come from a very small village, a beautiful village. आपकी story हिंदी में सुनना है मुझे.
सो मेरी स्टोरी है कि मैं मतलब नालंदा जिले के एक छोटे से गांव जिसका नाम छबीलापुर है, राजगीर के पास में। राजगीर बहुत ही पुरानी जगह है। पहला ये राजगीर मगध की पहली राजधानी हुआ करती थी, पाटलिपुत्र से पहले।
Yeah.
और मैं वहाँ से आता हूँ, और जो है मैंने वहीं से गांव में ही स्कूल से पढ़ाई की है 10वीं तक। राजगीर में मैं 10वीं तक मैट्रिकुलेशन मैंने किया। उसके बाद मैं जो है पटना आ गया, और पटना में मैंने इंटरमीडिएट किया, मतलब 12वीं 10+2। और उसके बाद जो है मैंने कई बार कोशिश की वो मेडिकल एंट्रेंस एग्ज़ाम देने की, लेकिन कहीं मेरा चयन नहीं हुआ। तो मैं दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय आ गया, और यहाँ किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज में मैंने एडमिशन दाखिला ले लिया।
You wanted
और
to be a doctor?
my father, I mean, he said that you should try to be try to be a doctor or something, or an engineer, because I don't think he could imagine that I could ever become
Yes.
clear civil services.
Yeah.
So फिर मैंने कोशिश किया, but I always failed because I think probably my aptitude, जो मेरा aptitude था वो उसके लिए सही नहीं था। मैंने और भी कई चीजें ट्राई की, लेकिन वो सब चीजों में मैं नहीं सफल हो सका। लेकिन मैं जब दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय आया, तो मैंने साइंस तक पढ़ा था। इंटरमीडिएट में बायोलॉजी पढ़ी थी और मैथ्स भी था। लेकिन जो है वो यहाँ आने के साथ दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में मैंने एडमिशन भूगोल में, ज्योग्राफी में लिया, और किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज में। और किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज में ज्योग्राफी में जो है मैंने 3 साल तक जो है मेहनत किया। और जब मैं पहुंचा किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज में, तो वो पहली बार मुझे इंग्लिश मीडियम में पढ़ना पड़ा, क्योंकि वहाँ पढ़ाई इंग्लिश मीडियम में होती थी। तो फिर मैंने अखबार पढ़ करके, डिक्शनरी देख करके शब्द सीखे, और इंग्लिश भी सीखा। तो मेरी पहली जो कक्षा थी उसमें तो एक तरह का कल्चरल शॉक था, क्योंकि
Yeah.
वो यहाँ सारे जो बच्चे थे वो कोई सारे कॉन्वेंट स्कूल से पढ़कर आए थे लगभग। तो मुझे बहुत दिक्कत होती थी, लेकिन मैंने 1 साल में अपनी अंग्रेजी मैंने सीख ली। और दूसरे साल, मतलब जो है सेकेंड ईयर कॉलेज में जब था, तो मुझे जो है मैंने डिबेटिंग सोसाइटी ज्वाइन कर लिया। और डिबेटिंग सोसाइटी वालों ने मुझे फिर वहां से किरोड़ीमल कॉलेज को विश्व डिबेटिंग चैंपियनशिप जो हो रही थी, वर्ल्ड डिबेटिंग चैंपियनशिप फिलीपींस में, मनीला में, वहां रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए मुझे भेजा। तो ये
And
एक साल
that
में,
to be debated in English, you're saying?
हाँ, डिबेटिंग इन इंग्लिश। तो
Amazing.
ये जो है बहुत ही अच्छी, मतलब कि अनुभूति थी। और वहीं जब मैं मनीला गया, तो वहाँ जो हम भारत के राजदूत थे, उन्होंने हम लोगों को डिनर पे बुलाया था। तो डिनर पे हमने जो है उनसे बातचीत की, और हमें लगा कि इंडियन फॉरेन सर्विस ज्वाइन करना चाहिए। पहली बार मैंने अपनी आंखों से देखा कि कितना अच्छा जो है वो उनका रहने सहने की व्यवस्था थी। और जो है वो मुझे उसी समय मैंने सोचा कि मैं भी डिप्लोमेट बनना चाहूँगा। और जब मैं मनीला से, फिलीपींस से वापस आया, तो मैंने उसके लिए पढ़ाई शुरू कर दी थी, तैयारी शुरू कर दी थी। तो
कैसे बनते हैं डिप्लोमेट?
तो डिप्लोमेट बनने के लिए आपको सिविल सर्विसेज जो एग्ज़ाम है
हाँ.
वो देना होता है। और सिविल सर्विसेज एग्ज़ाम हर साल होती है यूपीएससी के द्वारा, सबको मालूम है। और वो एग्जाम आप तभी दे सकते हैं जब आप एक ग्रेजुएट हो, मतलब बीए या बीएससी या ग्रेजुएशन हो की डिग्री हो आपके पास। और तो मैंने वो एग्जाम दिया और उस समय दो ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट्स होते थे और एक मेंस एग्जाम के लिए। और अभी तो एक ही ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट होता है, अब
Okay.
बदल गया है, लेकिन उस समय दो होते थे। और मेरा भूगोल एक ऑप्शनल था और दूसरा ऑप्शनल मैंने साइकोलॉजी रखा था। तो परीक्षा जो है हमने पहली बार में मैं इंटरव्यू तक गया था। जो है किरोड़ीमल के बाद मैंने ज्योग्राफी में ही एमए किया जेएनयू से। और जेएनयू से एमए करने के तुरंत बाद जो है मैंने सिविल सर्विसेज की परीक्षा दी। और उसमें जो मेरा रैंक था वो 71वां था, एक 71 रैंक था मेरा। और ये जो है मतलब फॉरेन सर्विस जो है वो तभी मिलता है जब रैंक काफी ऊपर होता है।
Correct.
तो और हमारे बैच में उस साल का जो सिलेक्शन था उसमें टोटल मतलब कि पूरे सिविल सर्वेंट्स जो थे 216 लोगों का सिलेक्शन हुआ था। तो उसकी परीक्षा जो होती है वो तीन भागों में होती है। पहला जो है प्रीलिम्स होता है, मतलब प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जाम्स होते हैं। और उसके बाद मेन एग्जाम होता है और उसके बाद इंटरव्यू होता है। तो ये 3 स्टेप प्रोसेस है उसके। और उसमें भी 3 स्टेप प्रोसेस में इफ यू आर इन द टॉप
Right.
देन यू विल गेट द फॉरेन सर्विस। तो फॉरेन सर्विस मेरा प्रथम जो है चॉइस था, फर्स्ट चॉइस था। और जो है मेरा चयन हो गया दूसरे अटेम्प्ट में। मैंने जो है दूसरी बार, मैं जब 23 साल का था तो मैंने फॉरेन सर्विस ज्वाइन कर लिया। और मैं अपने जो है बैच में अपने, और 216 लोग थे उसमें, लेकिन फॉरेन सर्विस में सिर्फ 9 लोग थे। ओनली 9 पीपल वर देयर इन द फॉरेन सर्विस।
Why is
सो
that so? Why it is not like any other
because it's a
option?
very small service, so very few people, आई मीन क्योंकि उसमें जो जितनी वैकेंसीज होती है उतनी ही वो रिक्रूटमेंट कर सकते हैं।
हाँ.
सो तो उसमें जो है मेरा मैं था। और उसके बाद जो है मैं 2005 में जो है पहले मेरा जो पहला असाइनमेंट था वो मॉस्को में था, रूस में। और मैं वहाँ पे रूसी भाषा सीखने के लिए गया था। और 1 साल तक रूसी भाषा सीखी। उसके बाद मैं वहाँ एम्बेसी में कार्यरत था। और उसके बाद मैं सेंट पीटर्सबर्ग में 3 साल तक था। तो कुल मिलाकर मैंने 5 वर्ष रूस में बिताए और फिर वापस भारत आ गया। और यहाँ मैं 2 साल तक 2010 से 12 तक भारत में मैं था। उसके बाद मैं नेपाल में था 3.5 साल, प्रथम सचिव की तरह दूतावास में, भारतीय दूतावास में।
तो फिर
उसके
आपने
बाद
नेपाली
मैं,
सीखी?
जी, तो नेपाली मैंने सीखी वहाँ पे, मैं नेपाली भी बोलता हूँ। मैंने त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालय से डिग्री भी प्राप्त की है नेपाली भाषा में।
आई थिंक जो एक चीज रेजोनेट हो रही है आपके स्टोरी में दैट यू ऑलवेज वांट टू लर्न मोर.
एकदम एकदम मैं हमेशा सीखने की कोशिश करता हूँ, क्योंकि सीखने में बहुत आनंद आता है। और ऑल्सो यू रीडिस्कवर योरसेल्फ। जो है जो है ना, हम देयर इज ए कोट दैट यू नो फ्यूचर इज नॉट सम प्लेस वी आर वॉकिंग इनटू, फ्यूचर इज समथिंग वी आर क्रिएटिंग। तो
करेक्ट.
हम क्रिएट कर रहे हैं फ्यूचर को। तो जब कुछ सीखते हैं नया तो फ्यूचर अपने आप क्रिएट हो जाता है। तो मैंने नेपाली भाषा वहाँ सीखी। फिर उसके बाद जो है मैं मेरा जो है वो नेहरू सेंटर लंदन में मेरा जो है डायरेक्टर के रूप में पोस्टिंग हो गया था। लेकिन नेपाल में भूकंप आने के
या.
कारण मैं वहाँ जा नहीं पाया। और फिर जो है मैं मुझे फिर ऑस्ट्रेलिया में भारत का डिप्टी हाई कमिश्नर बनाया गया। किंतु मैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया नहीं गया और मैं ब्राज़ील गया। और ब्राज़ील में जो है मैंने पोर्चुगीज भाषा सीखी। और
Why did you go
पुर्तगाली
to
भी।
Australia, if I may ask?
ऑस्ट्रेलिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया जो है वो वहाँ पे मुझे लैटिन अमेरिका मतलब ज़्यादा पसंद था, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा से जो लैटिन अमेरिकन पोएट्स हैं जैसे पाब्लो नेरूदा,
Oh yeah.
ऑक्टावियो पाज, तो इन सब से मैं बहुत प्रभावित रहा हूँ।
Right.
और मैं चाहता था कि मैं उनके कॉन्टिनेंट में एक बार जो है वो जाऊं। तो
Sure.
और वहाँ पे एक नई भाषा भी सीखने को मिलती। तो
I'm sure.
तो वहाँ पे पुर्तगाली मैंने सीखी। फिर मैंने वहाँ पे मैंने एक किताब लिखी द अल्फाबेट्स ऑफ लैटिन अमेरिका। जो
ओके।
कि आपको पूरे महादेश की सैर कराती है कविताओं के जरिए। तो ये किताब जरूर पढ़ें अगर आप लैटिन अमेरिका नहीं गए हैं, तो ये आपको जो है वर्चुअल टूर करा देगी
ओह
थ्रू
वाओ!
पोएट्री।
दिस
तो
क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन्स कि आपकी जो मेडागास्कर वाली ये जो मॉनसून लेटेस्ट बुक है, उसमें
जी,
पूरा मेडागास्कर से लेके आप इंडिया का मॉनसून का आपने भ्रमण कराया है।
भ्रमण कराया जी।
ये पहली बार मैंने एक्चुअली देयर मे बी मोर बट देन फॉर मी इट वाज लाइक लर्निंग जियोग्राफी बिकॉज़ इट्स इन
राइट।
अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल वे यू
देखिए
लर्न
कितना
जियोग्राफी।
बढ़िया तरीका है ज्योग्राफी, आपको
यस,
कॉलेज नहीं जाना, स्कूल नहीं
कॉलेज नहीं
जाना,
जाना।
आप ज्योग्राफी खुद से पढ़ सकते हैं, और
बिल्कुल।
वो भी एक लव पोएम के जरिए।
यस।
तो ये ज्योग्राफी पढ़ने का भी नया तरीका है। उसी तरह से मेरी और किताबें, नेपाल में मैं जब था तो मैंने द एट आइड लॉर्ड ऑफ काठमांडू लिखी, जो कि बहुत ही
वाओ!
प्रशंसनीय किताब है। बहुत उड़िया में भी उसका अनुवाद हो गया है, इटालियन में भी उसका अनुवाद हुआ है, और कई लोग जो है उसको पढ़ते हैं, द एट आइड लॉर्ड ऑफ काठमांडू। फिर जब मैं ब्राजील गया तो मैंने 60 ब्राजील के 60 कवियों का अंग्रेजी में, पुर्तगाली से अंग्रेजी में अनुवाद किया। ब्राजीलियन जो पोर्चुगीज
अमेजिंग।
है, तो और वो किताब न्यू ब्राजीलियन पोएम्स के नाम से है, उपलब्ध है। और ब्राजीलिया के ऊपर भी एक मैंने किताब लिखी, द प्रोफेसी ऑफ ब्राजीलिया, वो भी कविताएं हैं ब्राजीलिया के ऊपर। तो और अल्फाबेट्स ऑफ लैटिन अमेरिका तो कई भाषाओं में अनुवाद हो चुकी है, वो स्पेनिश और इटालियन और मलयालम और और हिंदी में भी अभी अनुवाद चल रहा है उसका। तो वो जो है, ऐसी किताब किसी और जो है भारतीय ने नहीं लिखी है जो जो आपकी
बिल्कुल।
लैटिन अमेरिका की सैर आपको कराता हो। तो फिर मैं मेडागास्कर जो है, वहाँ मेडागास्कर आ गया राजदूत बनकर।
हुँ।
और जब मैं राजदूत बना था तो मैं 38, आई वाज 38 इयर्स ओल्ड। तो आई वाज वन ऑफ इंडियाज यंगेस्ट एम्बेसडर्स। और वहाँ पर जो है मेडागास्कर में मैंने 3.5 साल बिताए। और वहाँ पर मैंने फ्रांसीसी मतलब फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज भी सीखी। और वहाँ पे मेरी किताब जो है, वहाँ पे द मैजिक ऑफ मेडागास्कर मैंने लिखी, जो जो हाइकू है। हाइकू मतलब जो जापानी कविता
या,
का रूप है, हाइकू, वो है
या।
मेडागास्कर के ऊपर। और वो जो है फ्रेंच और इंग्लिश बाइलिंगुअल एडिशन के रूप में पब्लिश हुआ है पेरिस से। और वहाँ वो भी जो है मेडागास्कर की आपको सैर कराती है, द मैजिक ऑफ मेडागास्कर।
आई फील आई हैव
तो
सो मच टू रीड। अभी तो मैंने सिर्फ़ 2 ही किताबें आपकी ख़त्म की हैं, पर यहाँ लंबी लिस्ट है और आई थिंक बहुत
तो
सारे
और
पॉडकास्ट हैं जो
आप
हम कर सकते हैं।
और देखिए कितना अच्छा है, क्योंकि आप उस जब किताब को पढ़ेंगी तो आप पूरा पूरा
या,
मेडागास्कर आप एकदम घूम लेंगी। तो पूरी लैटिन अमेरिका, पूरा नेपाल आपका सैर हो जाएगा।
सैर हो
तो
जाएगा।
तो ये जो किताबें हैं वो आपको सैर कराती हैं कविता के जरिए। मेरी
बिल्कुल।
जब मैं मेडागास्कर में था तो मैंने वहाँ पे और भी किताबें लिखी हैं। एक किताब मेरी जो है सेलेस्टियल है, जो कि मेरी लेटेस्ट पोएट्री बुक है, मॉनसून की तरह ही है, लेकिन
यस।
वो आपको जो है ब्रह्मांड के 88 जो कॉन्स्टलेशंस हैं, नक्षत्र हैं, जो पृथ्वी से दिखते हैं, 88 नक्षत्र, उनकी सैर कराती है आपको एक लव
हाउ
पोएम के जरिए।
ब्यूटीफुल।
और वो जो है उसका इलस्ट्रेशन जो है वो 10वीं शताब्दी के एक जो है फारसी खगोल विज्ञ
हुँ, हुँ।
जो है, उनका नाम है अल रहमान अल सूफी। तो उनकी जो है ड्राइंग्स है जो 1000 साल पुरानी है, इतनी सुंदर है।
वाओ!
आप अगर किताब देखें तो आप आनंदित हो जाएंगे।
बिल्कुल।
और ये सब ये सब
आई
है।
थिंक दिस ऑल्सो मेक्स फॉर अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल एक्ज़िबिशन अगर वो
यस,
1000 साल पुरानी है
एकदम एकदम
तो।
एग्जीबिशन भी लग सकती है इसके
यस,
ऊपर।
यस।
तो कभी मौका मिलेगा, कितना काम करने को है
कितना
देखिए,
काम है एक्चुअली।
कितना काम करने को है।
एंड
और
देयर इज ओनली
और
वन
सब,
लाइफ, देयर इज ओनली वन
हाँ,
लाइफ।
या
आई
आर्ट,
एग्री।
पोएट्री, पेंटिंग, है ना।
यस।
तो सब कुछ जो है वो, मतलब कि अगर आदमी चाहे तो कितनी अच्छी चीजें हैं इस दुनिया में करने के लिए। और फिर
यू सेड इट।
मेडागास्कर बहुत ही प्रोडक्टिव रहा मेरे लिए। मैंने वहाँ पे वो द बुक ऑफ बिहारी लिटरेचर भी एडिट किया, क्योंकि मैंने सोचा कि पूरी दुनिया की सैर मैंने लोगों को तो करा दी, लेकिन
एक्चुअली।
बिहार की सैर किसी को कराई ही नहीं। तो मैंने बिहार के ऊपर जो है, बिहार की 10 भाषाओं, जो बिहार में 10 भाषाएं बोली जाती हैं,
हुँ।
उन या जिसमें लिखा गया है बिहारी लिटरेचर, तो मैंने उन भाषाओं को से जो अनुवाद है अंग्रेजी में, 3000 साल जो है ऑफ Bihari literature. I have edited, and it's called the Book of Bihari Literature.
You want to throw some light on that, the Bihari literature? Because
हाँ
honestly, Bihar is not, sorry to say, but मैं पहली बार सुन रही हूँ कि literature in Bihar.
हाँ हाँ,
The branding
बिहार
is
का
very different.
लिटरेचर बहुत पुराना है. आपने कामसूत्र का नाम सुना होगा.
Oh yeah, yeah, of
कामसूत्र
course.
तो बिहार से ही आता है, पटना से आता है वो. और चाणक्य का नाम सुना होगा. चाणक्य की अर्थशास्त्र वो भी
अर्थशास्त्र.
बिहार से आती है. हाँ, थेरी गाथा जो पहली पोइट्री है विमेन की, मतलब कि जो वो उसमें जो है बुद्धिस्ट नन्स की पोएट्री है वो. और
Wow.
वो अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको लगेगा कि आज की लिखी हुई कविताएं हैं. तो वो भी बिहार से आती हैं. उसमें से ज्यादातर जो पोएट हैं थेरी गाथा की बुद्धिस्ट नन्स हैं वो मगध से हैं, या आज के बिहार से आप कह सकते हैं. तो
I have a question here. Sorry to
जी.
interrupt. From a geopolitical point of view,
हम्म,
Bihar is one of the states in India
हम्म,
where otherwise we say that the literacy level is low. And
हम्म,
here you're talking about massive literature work that has come from Bihar. How do you make sense of it?
See, because the most of the history of India is actually the history of Magad. So Magad is the place. Magad is the old name of Bihar.
Bihar,
So
yeah.
if you go to the history of India, most of the history of India begins in Magad. Mahajanpadas of Magad. If you think of the great kings like
Yeah.
King Ashoka the Great.
Ashoka.
They were all the rulers of Magad, or the Guptas, the Gupta Empire, the Nalanda University,
Yeah.
so till 12th century, Bihar. My next book is called Nalanda, which is also about the rise of and Nalanda's impact on the world.
Right.
Nalanda's impact on shaping the system of university, colleges, architecture of universities like Oxford and Cambridge. So it's huge actually. The whole impact on Buddhism, on East Asia. So it's a development of various languages. Abhransa, for example, Abhransa poetry. You have the development of religion. For example, Buddhism itself, the Vajrayana, which is practiced in Tibet and all, that comes from Nalanda. So Sunyata I was talking about also comes from Nalanda.
Nalanda.
Sunyata, Nagarjuna, the great Nagarjuna and his Sunyata, who discovered this Pragya Paramita from the Nagas. Retrieved actually from them. So Bihar Bihar is a later name of Bihar. Actually, the word comes from Vihar, which is like Vihar is like a monastery.
House.
It's a
Monastery.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
so Bihar has a very rich literary history, because most of that Kam Sutra comes from Bihar. You have the great Aryabhat, who is credited with inventing zero. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, comes from Bihar. So you have lots of rich history and rich literary background there. So that's why this thing. And nowadays, it's people, because people are not much aware about what happened, in Bihar earlier. That's why it seems that there's a contradiction.
What do you have to tell the youth sitting in Bihar who may be watching this? I mean,
आई मीन मैं तो यही कहना चाहूँगा कि वो अपने मतलब जो अपने जो इतिहास है उसको देखें, और फिर से जो है वो कोशिश करें कि क्या उनकी जो हेरिटेज है, क्या क्या ट्रेडिशन रही है बिहार की, और उसको फॉलो करें. तो सो दैट दे दे शुड क्या होता है ना कि वी फॉरगेट.
yes.
And literature is precisely list we forget. If we if we will forget, then to not to forget we write, right? To record, to
To
memorize.
record.
So
Yes.
memory plays a very important role in consciousness. हमारी तो जब मेमोरी हमें हमें अशोक के बारे में पता चला, हमें नालंदा के बारे में पता चला, तभी तो we are able today to see what a glorious past we have had. What contributions we have made. ऐसे तो हम जीरो को ही भूल जाते.
Correct.
है ना. तो वही है कि लोग, मैं बिहार की यूथ से यही कहूँगा कि वो अपनी जो पुरानी जो ट्रेडिशन है, हेरिटेज है, उस पर ध्यान दें, उसको उसको उसका उसका स्मरण रखें, उसको याद करें, और जब वो याद रखेंगे तो they will be motivated every day to do something great.
Very
Think
well
big.
said. Yeah, because many times we feel that that unemployment बहुत है country में, yeah, we don't
Yeah,
have direction. Direction will come when you will open up your horizons of thinking, and
right.
possibly that happens when you don't need to be a voracious reader, but you need to be a reader, right?
True, true.
That's
तो
what you had
रीडिंग बहुत
also
जरूरी है, पढ़ें पढ़ें.
पढ़ें. I am picking up from page number 35 of your book, and please throw some light on this. You say that I realize that it needs discipline, determination, and perseverance to achieve even simple things in life. You want to decode this for us?
Yes. So see, I mean, even a small thing like to get up in the morning,
Yeah.
needs determination. I these days, I'm learning to be a yoga teacher.
Oh,
Like
wow.
so how I mean I have been practicing yoga since a long time, but I just wanted to learn it more profoundly so that I can teach others. So to get up at 6 o'clock, that needs
Yes.
determination. With when you have had a night which is like when you have too much of work or too much to accomplish the last night, and you have to get up in the 6, and then spend next 2 hours doing like exercises, doing asanas and all that. So even to achieve that, you have to be focused. If I
Yes.
am little bit and perseverance, I found about this course. It took me so much of time to really get like who is the real teacher, who can teach me, where to take these
You
courses.
missed calling me. You missed
Right.
calling me.
So
Last year I was in Rishikesh and I did a month-long course at Parmarth, and it was fantastic.
right. So see, I mean, it requires focus and
Yeah.
determination and perseverance to achieve even, simple things, tasks in life, not the great tasks, but even
Yeah.
simple day-to-day things. Keeping up with your like work, keeping up with your, social life, everything requires discipline. So, I mean, keeping fit, that's a discipline. I mean, like
Yes.
what to eat, what not to eat, yum, that's a discipline. So
Yes.
everything is, I think, discipline.
You go on to say that that's how you introduce the book. India is an enigma wrapped in several layers. It opens as much as one tries to get into the depth. That's the power of a country that is so rich culturally. And you have also mentioned about that how we were perceived as a country. The Greeks perceived us to be gold, a place where gold digging ants existed. That's how beautifully you have started the book. The mysteries veil that covered India was lifted with the opening of sea route to India from Europe and the arrival of traders. So when you were writing this book and you were documenting your own story, um, what really made you? Was it something that was a calling that you wanted to write a book,
Mhm.
or was it a? Would you? I want some input from you on how much God has to play a role, or higher powers, or divinity, or shunyata, or
Mhm.
spirituality has to play a role in. I think it is a blessing because that's
Yeah.
why I love talking to authors because we are talking about 800,000 people. We are a 8 billion huge world, but only so many authors.
Mhm.
How divinity plays through you.
Yeah, I mean, see, artists or writers or poets are merely channels of, communication. At Piet Mondrian says that artist is just a channel. So I consider myself just as a channel. For example, when I was painting Sunyata, series of paintings, I did not know what I'm going to paint. It's a so sometimes Buddha appears, sometimes somebody else appears. So they appear on their own. Like I do not really know whom I'm going to paint. So it's I see it as a blessing that I'm blessed that I am being given the opportunity of being a channel through divinity or through so it's just like I think poets also poets
Yeah.
just I mean you do not create anything yourself. I mean it's like you have this like when I wrote those lines I wake up with your thoughts
Yeah.
you know in monsoon or like in celestial awake each night I savor starlight before the blinding sunlight obliterates you from my sight. So these lines come to you. You don't really like, it comes from somewhere, and then you write it down. So, I
That's so
think
humble
that,
of you to even say that. Abhijit, would you want to throw some light on how your grandfather, your family, and just little glimpse for people to understand your little background and not just
well,
a village?
see, I mean, I come from a very small place in Nalanda, by a view. I mean, I remember uh, my grandfather. He was like, he was cow herding, or he was wrestling, in the morning, and
He was a
my
wrestler.
father, he was a wrestler, yes, and he used to, like, you know before getting to, like, usual things in the day, uh, वो कुश्ती लड़ते थे, है ना, लोगों के साथ। तो वो, आई थिंक दैट वाज हिज फिजिकल फिटनेस रूटीन, वहां पे अखाड़ा होता था, उसमें मिट्टी होती थी, और वो लोग सवेरे सवेरे उठ करके कुश्ती लड़ते थे। So I was so inspired by their fitness regime. And I remember my grandfather, even he was very old, he had like stronger bones than
I'm
I had,
sure.
And if you touch him, you will feel that how hard are they, you know.
Yeah.
So and my father used to tell me that वो काफी उनको ना स्कूल में पढ़ने जाने के लिए they had to walk like 20 kilometers पर हर दिन, and there was no school in nearby, तो 10 किलोमीटर जाना और 10 किलोमीटर आना ऐसे करते थे। So and because they were like, my grandfather had I think 7 children, so चार भाई थे, मतलब चार उनके, he had 4 sons और
Yeah.
तीन आई थिंक daughters। तो बहुत बड़ा फैमिली होता था उस समय, एंड देयर वाज नो फोकस ऑन एजुकेशन। सो आई
Correct.
थिंक माय फादर वाज जस्ट he had studied till intermediate. I don't think he did graduation. So he was, but my father was always, that's why he was very focused कि you do better than I have done, and
The focus was education, you mean?
yeah, focus was on education. That's why I write in this book that how India has been made through democracy and education, how India has shaped itself. The strength of India is its democracy and education.
You want to throw some light on this? I was going to pick this point up. How do you play up the democratic part and
हाँ,
education?
बिकॉज पहले जब भारत स्वतंत्र हुआ था, तो ज्यादातर लोग जो राजदूत बनते थे, वो पुराने राजा महाराजा बनते थे, जैसे
Correct.
जो जो है ना, और पीपल हु वर वेरी वेल ऑफ इन द सोसाइटी। बट अब देखिए ना, इस समय 2000, मतलब ये 21वीं शताब्दी में हम जैसे लोग भी बन जाते हैं। सो इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल विदाउट डेमोक्रेसी, यू लुक एट अदर प्लेसेस जहाँ पे, आई मीन, द कंट्रीज विच आर लाइक, कई देश हैं जहाँ पर कि सिर्फ जो लोग मोनार्क, मतलब कि जो रॉयल फैमिली से हैं, वही बन सकते
They
हैं,
can
है ना।
only, yeah.
तो यहाँ तो वैसी चीज नहीं है, भारत में तो सबको इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी है। अगर आप, I mean, whoever you are, but if you have access to education, if you can study somehow, can work hard, you can do anything, यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरे जो कॉन्टैक्ट्स हैं वही बनेंगे, who will become,
That's the
have
beauty
it.
of democracy for sure.
That's, yeah, look at the broad landscape. It's democracy, so that's why India's democracy gives the strength to anybody in India, whether well off or poor or from any background.
Since this is our first conversation and on this podcast, there is so much to talk to you, but I would want you to route this conversation to a most important question, which I will not leave you without asking, is your introduction to transcendental meditation.
Mhm.
How it, when you spoke about divinity flowing through you, would you want to credit it to the meditations that you have been into?
Yes, of course. Like when I was preparing for civil services,
Yeah.
when I was in JNU, I remember meeting somebody from, I think, someone who introduced me to uh, transcendental meditation of Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, and he. I mean, and it was very simple. He said that you just close your eyes, sit in any comfortable pose. You can do it in the car. You can do it standing. I mean, there's nothing. Just be comfortable, and then think of something like, maybe concentrate your mind in the sense that. Uh, Maybe say like a mantra which is close to your heart, or any word which is close, and just close your eyes and breathe, and slowly the breath will disappear, like, your breathing will become calm and calmer and calmer, and your thoughts also will, let all the thoughts come, and let your mind be cleansed. So he introduced me to mental bathing, like you can like clear your head with all the garbage, and then your head. So he said that transcendental meditation is like a it's like a daily cleaning of the mind, and I started doing that, and it really helped me. I mean, I would do it, like, he said that there's no routine. You don't have to do it in the morning or evening. Do anytime you like, and do in any pose you like. So that was the freedom,
Yes.
and I started practicing it, and it was really calming, and I realized its benefit, and it was very simple. It was just like this, nothing else.
You want to tell, you want to explain it to somebody who is, if, otherwise, whenever I have met several people, they feel meditation is daunting because for them to, we don't know how to quiet ourselves. For most people, the rescue could be okay, I'm listening to some calm music and I'm done. You want to tell people how easy it is to do?
Yeah, I mean, see, the focus on any meditation is on prana, on
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah.
So most of us don't know how to breathe, like 99% of us. If we know breathing, no, we can. Breathing actually is the center of yoga.
Right.
uh, it's the breathing which most of us don't know. So if we can learn how to breathe, even if you look at Teach Natan, the great Buddhist guru,
That's
all he in his book How to Smile, he all he tells you is that, if you know how to smile and breathe, you are good. So just
right.
just breathe and smile. That's it, and the world will, you can calm yourself down. Just two things. And breathing, I have just also learned, the course I'm doing, for professional yoga, being a professional yoga teacher, is, there are three kinds of breathing, and the one is abdominal breathing, one is the chest breathing, yeah, and one is clavicular,
Yes.
breathing. Yeah, three kinds of breathing is there, and one is called deep yogic breathing, which combines all the three. So now I really know how to calm myself down, and there is a simple formula that take a deep, abdominal breathing,
Breath.
like do,
Very deep.
yeah, take a deep breath, and then exhale, slowly, in the sense that the time you take to breathe in, take double the time to breathe out, and
Correct.
then within like two breaths or three breaths, you will be like completely calm, whatever is the situation. You are running, you are doing like hriday gati, exercise, and you have to calm down. You can do
You
that
can
in
switch.
three breaths. So that's like how we master, increase your lung capacity through Suchum Vyayam, which has been advocated by Dhirendra Brahmachari, and now the National Institute of Yoga, Moraji Desai National Institute of Yoga, teaches all those Suchmayam. 48 Suchmayams are there, like
Yeah. Very,
uh,
very mini, small ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
micro exercises.
But the human body is like a machine and it needs servicing. I think that's how I
Right.
also consider
Every
it.
day it requires, we
Yeah.
take it for granted. Not only
Yeah.
we take it for granted, we don't exercise, but we also abuse it through like various, you know,
Thoughts,
substances.
eating,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
conversations also. That's
Yeah.
why, my
The,
podcast clearly is known
yeah,
as
it's like a
Conversations.
temple, right? Body is a
Yes.
temple where your soul, or I mean, if you believe in soul,
Yes.
or your, where you live, actually, where everything you have. And if you do not worship your own temple, what's the point of you know worshiping other things?
A lot of people would say, what do you mean by where you live? I still get this question. What do you mean by
Yeah.
where you live? So
I
the,
mean,
the
you live
difference.
within your body. I mean,
The difference between this is my body and I am different is going to be another podcast, I believe.
right.
Abhijit, I would want to Close, I don't want to say close because I never say close, but I want to begin a new chapter. New chapter with a beautiful line that you had put in your first book. And if possible, if we can read it out together, I will give you a little
Mhm,
bit company.
mhm,
This is from Rig Veda,
mhm.
chapter 10, the Silicon Valley.
Right. The the bright dawn
Dawn heralds
heralds a
a
new
new
day.
day.
Its
Its
rosy
rosy
lances
lances have
have
opened,
opened the golden gates of the sun
sun, and
and
lit
lit
up
up the
the
path
path
of
of
action.
action.
Awake,
Awake, O
O
man,
man,
the
the
slumber,
slumber and
darkness
darkness
of the
of the
night
night is
is
over.
over.
May
May
each
each
dawn lead
dawn lead
us
us
from triumph to
triumph to
triumph
triumph,
in the
the
long
long journey,
journey of life.
in the long
Liquid,
journey of life.
the long journey of life.
Absolutely.
From
How
triumph
beautiful.
to triumph.
That is, that is, how would you explain triumph to triumph? I think it's a good question.
Yes, it's a triumph to triumph is like being able to wake up early morning every day, watching sunrise, watching sunset, and being able to laugh, and that's triumph. Triumph is nothing big, triumph is not to own $1 billion.
Yeah.
Triumph is being the inner peace. Triumph is to listen to bird song, to be able to to have a slow morning. These are, I think, for me,
Small
these are
and
triumphs.
profound.
At night, to be able to see the stars and the planets, and feel the rustle of the wind.
Absolutely.
I think that's triumph.
When you talked about Shunyata, is there any message for the very busy life? I represent the corporate life. For the corporate people, corporate professionals, because we are constantly on the treadmill of um, doing the next thing, achieving the next goal. Is there
It's
anything?
all, yeah, it's all transient. It's all temporary. Everything you
Yeah,
acquire, all your achievements, all your success is transient. It's not going to last. So if we can keep that in mind, I think we would be wiser. We would suffer less. When something happens, when loss happens, then we become out of control. We become angry, and we punish ourselves. So if we can think about that, we would get a better sense of what is important in this life.
right.
Because money is unlimited in this world, but not the time. We all have limited time on the
Limited
planet,
time.
and we must make most out of it, whatever matters to us.
How does one move and think towards a purpose? If, for example,
Towards a purpose.
yeah, most of
So,
the people, I'll tell you the problem that happens. If you have less money, any
mhm,
money is good, but for most
right.
people, I have less money, I want more money to achieve this, and
Mhm,
that becomes endless.
mhm.
Um, how would
So
you help somebody to find a purpose?
I think it's our ability to see what is important, because money is important, but in a moderation. If anything actually is good in moderation. Excess of anything becomes poisonous. So it's very important to, I mean, साईं इतना दीजिए जामे कुटुम समाए, मैं भी भूखा ना रहूं साधु न
Sadhu
भूखा
na
जाए.
jaye.
And I think that's important, because if you have too much money, there is so much of a headache. How to
Yeah,
invest it? What to do with it? If you have two houses, what to do with the other house? You are not using. I mean, it's like lots of. I mean, for a simple life, I think, and it's easy to find purpose. Purpose of this universe is, or life is to praise. It's praise in the sense that praise the creation, like the Rig Veda does. It praises the dawn, it praises the sunrise, it praises the sabitur. Like Gayatri Mantra. What is Gayatri Mantra? Gayatri Mantra is a praise to the sun god. Om Bhurvubah Swah means from body, soul, and mind. Tat Savitur Varenyam. I admire, or I worship that sun god. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. You know, like I meditate upon the halo, the brightness of the sun,
Yeah.
and dhimai dhiyo yo na prachodaya, and pray that those sun rays, the bright rays penetrate my mind, uh, and make it bright as the sun,
As
as
the
the
sun is.
so it's a praise. We humans believe that we can make a huge difference to this universe. You look at Earth from Mars, how small we are. It's just a dot.
Yeah.
And from Mars, imagine if you look at Earth from Jupiter or from Saturn, I don't think it will even be visible. So perspective is very important in life. So we are here, and how beautiful nature is, how beautiful other creatures are. I think most of the time we spend on grieving and counting our sufferings, but
Sorrows.
yeah, sorrows. But I think we should spend time on praising, and on praising the universe, how we are able to have such a beautiful life. I mean, we are ruining the biodiversity.
Correct.
One day we should discuss Kalidas and his poetry, uh, and his eco poetry in Ritu Samharam and Meghdutam,
We
and
should.
which I have translated, both the Sanskrit from Sanskrit. And what do they tell us? It tells us that how beautiful this world is, and we try to exploit it, we try to ruin it, and make cut a tree and then make a painting of a tree. So our
You said
species
it.
has to become a bit wiser, and understand the richness of this world, and try to protect it.
How beautifully you explained it.
That's
Why
the
don't we?
purpose.
That's the purpose. Yes, I think that's a very, very meaningful purpose for this generation, our generation. We still have to, we are inhabitant of Mother Nature and Earth for whatever years.
Right.
Um, I don't want to say
Right.
40 years,
That's
50
why I
years.
wrote the Earth Anthem, which I would like to share with you
Yes,
quickly.
please.
And it's been translated into more than 160 languages. Our cosmic oasis, cosmic blue pearl, the most beautiful planet in the universe. All the continents and all the oceans. United we stand as flora and fauna. United we stand as species of one earth, diverse cultures, beliefs, and ways. We are humans. Earth is our home. All the people and all the nations, one for all, and all for one. United we unfurl the blue marble flag.
Wow. Thank you so much, Abhijit.
Thank you.
This was so beautiful. I think
Thank
this
you so
was the
much.
perfect conclusion to our conversation.
Thank you
And
for having me on your show, and I'm delighted, to be in conversation with you.
I think you gave me one more thought, which is going to be there in the back of my mind that we have to do the Kalidas
Right.
conversation, and
Next
especially
time.
some conversation on that once your book is
Poetry of
out.
Kalidas. Yes,
Yes.
amazing.
Do you
I
remember
look forward.
any nice poetry for our audience to close this? Absolutely. I don't want to leave you. Let me be very
Yes,
honest.
I can share. Uh, s-
This is
you
my
know,
favorite. This is
yeah,
monsoon
monsoon.
time.
Yeah, monsoon time, and if everybody can read this book, I think it would transport them to the monsoons.
I loved
Uh,
it so much.
I'll wake up with your thoughts, your fragrance reaching me all the way from the Himalayas to the island of Madagascar, brought by monsoon, from the blessed Himalayan valley to the hills of Antananarivo on its return journey. I dream of you every night. The shimmering dawn snatches my dreams, but the morning breeze comes whispering your name, permeating my being with your thoughts, only your thoughts, my love.
How beautiful. Thank you so much, Abhijit. Thank you. I'm so honored to be having the poet and the writer and the author to recite it live. Um,
Thank you so
Honored to
much
be
for
having
giving me
you
the
on my show and look forward to more conversations, more deeper conversations. Today
looking
was
forward.
just a precursor to Abhay K.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a
Look
wonderful
forward
day.
to. Look forward to. Namaste.